Well, here's the truck I built. We 3D printed the body. It's got a custom frame underneath it, so we'll kind of dive into a little bit of it here. So the windshield, it's pretty much simple. Just get you a clear solo cup, cut it up. Got my front windshield and my rear window. Probably do the same with the window vents here. These mirrors are for a Wraith, but I wanted something that could swing out of the way if you hit it on the trail. The roll bar, so I had to make the roll bar to where it would come off. So I've got these pins, and it sits down on these pins, and you pull it off the pins. You can see the hole there. But that had to come off because there's a lot going on in the front. So you lift up the front of the truck, and then you slide it forward. That takes off the cab. We'll set the cab over here. So now you can kind of see. So there's our where our battery sits, and like the interior of the cab is like right there. So we have to come in at a pretty good angle to miss all that. Luckily, the interior has a little bit of a slant on it. Now up front, we've got the Hobbywing Fusion. I don't know what one it is. And all L aluminum. And then the sliders are brass square tubing. So the transmission, basically you got big spur gear up here, and then it has a divorced transfer case. There it is, and I'm thinking that this transfer case has some overdrive on it because it likes to drag the truck. I notice it tries to drag it. Makes a lot of weird noises. And part of that is because I haven't got inside the leaf springs. I'll get in there, but I have to make little bushings for leaf springs. So we're going to start taking this frame apart to paint it, and I want to build something right here as kind of a block in the wheel well where you can't see the electronics. But I was able to get all of my electronics up here. I'd like to try to get a winch in it somehow. We'll have to look at that a little bit if there's a way, and if there is, then we'll get it in there. So we're using SCX-102 axles. I got the metal axles, and now we got all the brass. These are beef springs, or beef tubes, leaf spring perches. I got them on RPP Hobby, along with the leaves. They're also from beef tubes. So basically what I've done here is I have made these out of this brass, so that we have the like some bushings in the leaf springs, so it's not sloppy. And from the plastic to the metal, so the front axle was at 5.7 ounces, and now the front axle is at 19.4 ounces. And the rear axle we didn't gain a lot from. It was at 5 ounces, and now it's at 9.5 ounces. So trying to get that weight down low. But the big thing is putting these bushings in here with this brass. I just basically went down to our hardware store and found this stuff here. I don't know that that's not the right one. That's a brass rod, but this is a tube, and just cut it down and putting it in there. So now we got the axle back in. You can kind of see how the chassis was made. Just got aluminum angle iron, and this was a piece of brass strap. That bushing for the leaf springs. The axles aren't wiggling all around now. Got some more brass strap there on the side, up here on top, trying to get a little bit of weight up front. There's the transmission I was talking about I had in it, and it has a divorced transfer case which bolts in right there. So get all this thrown back together now. It's really pretty simple. I don't remember where I got this extra parts for a servo holder. There you go. So let's check out the frame. Just took it out for a test drive, tested out the lights. Next video out will be a night driving video. I'll tell you it's not 100%. I'll just go ahead and tell you right now. I want to do more with the lighting. I want a roll bar. I want it to have lights. And I have this push guard, which I screwed up the holes, but I want to put some lights in the push guard. So I'll probably print another one of these and try to put lights in it. But that's for another day. So let's see the final chaos underneath. Now, I must warn you, there's a lot of wires. But I'm somebody that hates to make something permanent sometimes because you don't know what you might have to do next. So as you can see, here's the wiring for the lights. This kind of might be a confusing thing, but not really. I just kind of taped it all together. I could have done better. I could have just jumpered with wires with the lights and just had one wire, but I didn't want to go through all that. See, these LEDs have resistors built in on them. I don't really like jacking with them as much as I have to. It's kind of easier to do that. And then I just made a little pigtail to plug in. So we've got those lights. They run on this. This wire is running back. That's going to be our tail lights. Now our rock lights, which, let me find one. Find two actually. So here's one of them. This was basically a flashlight that I took apart. So there's one here, and there's one in the very back on each side of the frame rail. And in the middle, I use this. And this came from the same flashlight. So that flashlight had it to where you had this big light or that small light. So drilled a hole in the frame. I put a plastic spacer in there just in case. Oh, where's that light? Let me show you exactly why. On the sides you can see the metal where the light gets soldered into that little board there. And I did not want, obviously, a short in that having a problem. So I put that plastic in there just to help keep it away. These lights run on 4.5 volts. They also have a resistor in them. As you can see, I put a Castle BEC in there, and I've got it at 4.8 volts, and I've got the resistor on it, so it's probably running a little bit warmer than it would with batteries, but I don't know. But this is pretty much the done job right now. Well, we learned a lot from this build, so the next build hopefully will be even better. And as of right now, the little bit of added weight, because I added this brass up here, and that little bit extra I think helped the truck out a lot. As you can see, the tires are pretty flat on it. So these are Class 1 Proline Hyraxes, 4.19 inches tall. They fill up the fenders. I had to cut the body a little bit to make it all work, but that is all right. I'm not gonna cry too much about that. I know that rear axle probably looks like it's a little far forward, but when you do a suspension flex, you can see that tire rolls back. Now I did lose some suspension travel when I put those bushings in. Probably basically just lost that slop that it had before, but it's not all when it's driving down the trail, because I really think this has an overdrive. I need to get this thing jacked up and put some tape on the tires and see if it does. But before, it would just kind of, you could hear it just going clank, 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 and it just sounded like shit. So we got that fixed, that brass, got our lights in it. Next video will have that. Thanks for watching. I hope this gives you inspiration for your own rig. So now let's see if this thing has some overdrive.
We'll just try to use the throttle trim to get it running. There it goes. And away it goes. And it looks like we have overdrive. Which is quite a bit of overdrive. That explains a lot, because when you're driving it slow, you don't really notice it too much. But when you start driving it kind of fast, you can see it's kind of it's trying to tear itself in two. So cool. Looks like overdrive it is. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. Help grow the channel. Thanks.